Hello, today I'm going to be running through my Assignment 6 project and going over all the details of that. Um, it is first we'll run the registry server and we'll get that started. And we're actually going to start with running just the regular node and client that communicate directly instead of through the register. So if you do run node, I have the code to connect it to the registry commented out, so it's not actually going to register. So we'll start with that just to view the functionality of everything. And then once we get that started, just waiting for it to start up. All right, as you can see on the node side, we're at we have all these services and nothing happened on the registry server because all that code is commented out. So we're not going to be connecting to it. And then we'll run the client. And this is just the regular client that's going to be, it's echo client.java. It's going to be connecting directly to this node instead of trying to look for services through the registry. So I have it listing all these services available um, on this node. And I hard-coded this menu in because I know of all the services that are available. Later on when we go to the different client, the menu is not hard-coded and it's actually dynamic and will list the different services depending on what's available. So we'll start with echo. Echo just, if you enter one, it's going to ask you what message you would like the server to parrot. So we're going to send over hello. And you can see over here, client received hello, and the server received hello from client, and the client received hello back from the server, so the message was parroted. Next, we'll go into joke. So if we choose to, then we're going to ask, what would you like to do? We can ask for a joke or set a joke. Let's first ask for a joke, and we're prompted how many jokes we would like to hear. Let's say 3. 3 jokes. Okay. All right. Did you hear about the rumor about the butter? Well, I'm not going to spread it. So we have 3 jokes here. We'll go back into jokes. Let's set a joke. So when we're setting a joke, it's going to say, tell us your joke. And we'll say, why did the chicken cross the road? Um, so we'll enter that joke in and see over here, this joke was received from the client. Why did the chicken cross the road to get to the other side? Again, if we want to hear one more joke, it's going to pop that joke out that we just put in. So why did the chicken cross the road to get to the other side? Right? All right, so we'll go into recipe. Recipe, what would you like to do? You can add a recipe, view a recipe, or rate a recipe. So let's first add a recipe. Let's say sandwich. Right. Oops, accidentally. That was my bad. It was supposed to be the name. What is your name? This is the name of the recipe. So my name's going to be Sandwich, and we're also going to be making a sandwich. And then we're gonna be prompted to add ingredients. So what is the ingredient name? Bread. The ingredient quantity, say 2 in grams, which is, we'll just say 2 grams. The details is 2 slices of bread. And then we'll add another ingredient. We'll add ham. The ingredient quantity, we'll say 3 ounces of ham, 3 slices. Let's add one more. We'll say cheese, right? And 2 slices. All right, then we'll finish. So enter 2 to finish. And then over here, new recipe, sandwich. So that's the recipe. If we go back to recipes and option 3, we can view the recipe. So we'll view all the recipes that are saved in here. So we got sandwich by sandwich. Really, this should have been my name. So we have ingredient, bread, quantity 2, details 2 slices, ingredient ham, quantity 3, 3 slices, cheese 2. And then down here we have a rating, but this has not been rated yet. This 0 up here is the ID of the recipe. So now we'll go into rate the recipe. So we'll go into recipe, rate. What is the ID number? It's going to be 0. And what would you like to rate the recipe? 1 through 5. Let's give it a 4. Let's say someone else comes along and rates the recipe 2, and they rate it for, I don't know, a 2. And then let's say one more person rates the recipe as a 5. And then let's view. So as you can see, the rating of the recipe is updated based on the average each time. So it's now at 3.66 repeating. The time before that it was at 3. And before that it was 4 because that was the initial rating that we gave it. So if we go back into recipes again and view the recipe, that rating should reflect right there. Perfect. Now let's go into hometowns. So for hometowns, you can read, search, or write. Let's first write a hometown. Okay, so what is your name? My name's Tony. What city do you live in? Nichols. And what region is Nichols in? It's New York. All right. Out of the available, choose one. So we'll go back into hometowns, and then we're gonna read, which is gonna read all of the hometowns. So here's our hometown. So that's me with my hometown and my region. Let's add another hometown real quick. Let's say Bill. Rochester, New York. Okay. And then we'll read all those again. So now we have both Tony and Bill. Let's go into hometowns one more time. And we will search. Let's search for Nichols. And it should return everyone that's in Nichols, right? And there it is. I am the only one in Nichols. The data is persistent, so if the node shuts down, let's see. right? So unavailable. That service is unavailable because the node is shut down. But let's turn it back on. All right, so now that it's back on, what would you like to do? We're going to read. All right, so now we still have those people in there. Next, we'll go into schedule, which was my personal, that's the one I invented. It basically, you can add a schedule, view a student's schedule, or view all the schedules. So we'll start by adding a schedule. The student's name, again, we'll go with Tony. And then, so now that we got our student, we can add classes. So we'll add our class schedule. We'll say Chem 101. Let's say Bobby. And enter the amount of credits. Let's say it's a 3-credit course. Um, let's say we're only taking that class. So we'll finish that off. And we'll go back into schedule. And we can view student schedule. What is the student's name? Tony. And there we go. We got showing schedule for Tony. Classes. Chem 101 with the instructor and the credit. Okay, so then we have, let's add another schedule real quick. Say the student name is Rich. Class is Matt. 217. Same instructor. Same credits. Finish class. And then we'll go back into schedule. And we'll view all schedules. And now we have all schedules. We have student Tony with the classes, student Rich with all his classes. And then lastly, we're gonna actually view a student again because just to show that it will only get one. Let's look at Rich. All right, so showing schedule for Rich. And now we only have his schedule. Again, this data is persistent. So if we shut the node off, we see the node is off. We can't communicate with the service. We'll turn it back on. And then we'll go back into schedule. And let's view all schedule. Data is persistent because both schedules are still there. So if the node crashes and we turn it back on, we still have that data. Okay. I'll go into connecting it to the registry now. It has the same functionality, so I'm not going to go through all that again. However, I'll show you what I did to make it search in the registry. So now we see December 1st, 2022, the registry logged, new services registered. So again, all of these services are now registered through this registry. What we'll do is we'll run client 2. Sorry, for the node, we register service node now instead of just running node. So now we're running client 2. And all these are going to have the same functionality. So I'm just going to go through let's go through hometowns real quick. And let's read. read them all. Okay, so we got Tony and Bill in there. As you can see, the menu is not hard coded anymore, so the data is still persistent. We got those people. We can still grab the hometowns. We can still let's say write a hometown. What is your name? Robbie. Live in Dallas, Texas. And then over here, still write hometown. So still wrote it. If the service shuts down, then we'll look and we'll try and read. And we'll get an error. So RPC failed, unavailable. Basically, the service is unavailable. Now choose one of the available services. Notice we don't have a menu anymore because none of those services are available. However, if I restart this registry node, and then choose, okay, so choice 0 was unavailable. Now it's refreshed and we have all these options back, and I can echo to server. What would we like to pair it? Hello. And it works fine again. So that is running the program. I'll go into code a little bit real quick. All right. So let's start with echo client. So in regular echo client, we comment out anything that's connecting to our registry. So we're kind of just doing a client server between the node. How I do this, how I run this code really is so if things aren't hard code, or if things aren't in auto mode, which is like everything runs without having to put in any input, which is all this stuff down here. So if arg6 equals 1, which is the auto, it's going to run through everything automatically, showing your output. However, as long as we're not doing that, I make a menu here, and then from there I have a switch statement. Whatever, if you choose 1, then it's going to ask to parrot a message. Choosing 2, you're going to go to the make joke menu. Those are like sub menus basically. 3, it's going to go to make recipe menu. 4 is going to be make hometowns menu, and 5 is going to be make schedule menu. And then anything else is not a valid option. Choose one of the valid options. So up here is where I have all my menus being made. And you just ask, what do you like to do? Ask for jokes, set jokes. From there, another switch statement where you gather the input for getting and setting a joke. And then from there, it either sends it to the request and response. These are all the request and response. So from there, it would send it to, after gathering the input, would send it to either ask for jokes with the number or set joke with the string, depending on what the user chose, and all the other services follow that same routine. So, for example, adding a recipe, or we'll take a look at viewing a recipe. Adding a recipe is kind of long, so well, I guess let's look at. So case one, this is adding a recipe. We're gonna ask, what is your name, and you're gonna read it in. What is the name of your recipe? Read it in, and then adding your ingredients. You can add ingredients basically indefinitely until you hit finish, which will then send you to add recipe with author, name, and your list of ingredients. Um, which is right here. Or not here, sorry. Add recipe. All right, so this is for the version that's not connected to the registry and looking for services in a registry. However, if we take a look at the version that is, we see that we end up making our list by collecting the services in an protocol string list. And then when we make our so this is register on. So when we make our protocol, we get the protocol string list, and then we add all the services to an array list of service choices, which gives it just that echo, joke, recipe, hometown, schedule, instead of having the whole service dot echo slash or joke slash set joke and slash get joke, because that would just be a super long list up front. So instead we break it down, and then we can send, and then we display the menu just like with the service, and then from there we can still send them to those sub menus. So for instance, if your choice is joke, based off of what index you're looking at in the service choice array, it's going to send you to the make joke menu again, so which is basically the same thing. Basically following the same pattern, only now when we go to this menu and we gather our input, so say we're asking for a joke, case one, how many jokes would you like to hear? The user's going to enter a number, and then we find the server that has this service, joke slash get joke, and then the blocking stub 2 equals we put a new blocking stub in for this, so it knows where to be directed to. So found channel. So after we find server, find server is actually going to, oh god, find server is going to set a new managed channel, found channel, to this target, which is basically the URI and the port returned by calling find server. So whatever URI and port is returned is gonna be the new managed channel, which we're gonna set as the blocking stub. And that way we can talk to that server for that particular service. And I do that for all of the methods previously, or all of the services previously talked about. So I do that in make joke, make recipe, make hometown, and make schedule. And that way we're grabbing stuff from the registry and different servers rather than just talking directly to the node itself. All right. And that's how this program works. Thank you so much.